Today I'm joined by Martina Markota, who is a performance artist who has worked for some of the biggest names in the New York City nightlife industry until about 6 months ago, when far-left groups like Antifa started a sustained campaign to try and destroy her career, alienate her from her friends and from her colleagues, just because she was a Trump supporter. And her story is completely compelling, and she joins us here today to tell us all about it. So, going from the beginning, you mentioned it was around 6 months ago. When did this actually start? What did you sort of notice at the beginning?
Well, I noticed in around October, it was the heat of the campaign, and it was very divided. The whole nation was divided, whether you were Hillary or Trump, and most of New York, and especially the art scene, is for Hillary. And I have been a Republican for some time, and I have also been aware of Hillary's corruption for some time, and thought that the Trump train was super fun to get on. And I started making, well, the thing is, I noticed that the left in the art scene and performing, they were actively promoting anti-Trump acts and being very outspoken, being very loud. And I didn't want to create problems, so I decided in my real life, in my real name, not my stage name, that I could be myself and become active. And it was a really important campaign. This is a really important election that we had. So with my real name, I wrote some blogs, I made a website, created an Instagram account so I could post some memes, and started getting involved, meeting people. And then that's when Gavin McInnes asked me to come on his show. So I started making appearances and doing all of this in my real name. And when little whispers and rumors started to come across in the nightlife industry where I work at the specific theater, they did not take it very well.
What did they start to do? What did you start to notice?
I started to notice at first it was a lot of cold shoulders, no more hellos, no more eye contact, a lot of just pretending I'm not there and didn't want to have anything to do with me. And I was like, oh, that's a little strange, but okay, that's fine. And then when I was interacting on social media with other coworkers, I would have the other coworkers gang up on me and tell me that I'm a white supremacist, KKK, anti-Semite, homophobic.
What do you think they saw to make them think that? Like what?
It was directly verbatim, aren't you a Trump supporter? Meaning you are racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic,
So
all these
because
things.
you're a Trump
So
supporter.
it was the Trump supporter.
That's insane. But I've been looking at this sort of group in this industry for ages, and they seem to always come across as a group that cares about women's rights and being a close-knit community and protecting everybody and always loving each other. What do you think that says about the group in the way that they've treated you?
Well, I think that unless you think the way they do, then it's okay to be misogynistic. So when Antifa recognized that I was a part of this Trump-supporting world in New York City, and I threw an election night party, Antifa wrote an article calling us the alt-right KKK neo-Nazis in New York City. And I found it really interesting that all of these feminists and in this community took Antifa's words, which they don't even know what Antifa is and what it represents, and that they are a domestic terrorist organization. And they took all this information that was very dangerous to my safety. I mean, calling me a Nazi and putting my personal information out there, where I work, what my real name is, where my small hometown is, and saying something like that I am a Nazi is dangerous to my safety. And these people could not care less, and they wanted to promote this false information. I have not been asked to work at the theater after the election. Not at all. So for about 6 months, I have not worked regularly with the theaters that I have been working in. My agent has pretty much stopped booking me after questioning me about these articles, and she told me that everyone is trying to convince her that I am Satan and that I'm a Nazi, and that people do not want to work on gigs that I am at. So she has no choice but to not book me because people will refuse to work gigs if I am there.
So with stories like yours, we've been hearing them up and down the country, across the whole of the West, but usually when someone gets outed as a Trump supporter or a Brexit supporter, when their careers are threatened, usually they kind of cower away, they kind of disappear, they'll kind of apologize, and they'll say, oh no, I don't really think that, I don't really think that. But you've done the opposite. You've been completely loud about it, you've made, you were talking about it on the Gavin show. What made you choose that avenue? Why didn't you, say, join the rest of everybody else who just sort of disappeared into the shadows?
Well, I don't think that's my personality to cower away anyway, but Trump has actually been an inspiration. I mean, he has been attacked so hard by everyone and the media. I mean, all these personal things, false rape claims, all these horrible things that have been exposed about him, and he pushes harder and harder and harder. And if you cower away and let them win, you can never achieve great things the way that he has. So, I mean, there is no other choice.
These anti-Trump acts that they do, were you ever asked to be in any of them, or did you ever do any of them?
No. I just sat there and watched, and
what did you
think
when you watched it?
And I just think it's stupid and it's cliche. It's like, okay, let's put a Trump mask on and like make him this like groping asshole. Like, okay. So interesting. Really interesting artwork you have there.
Did you see this happening to anyone else that you worked with, or anyone else that you know?
A lot of people were in fear. So there are people that agree with me, but they were not called out and they weren't as outspoken. They weren't making appearances or saying anything. You can't even post on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I did was I realized even on Facebook there's all this left-wing stuff, like everyone yelling and being really loud about it, standing on their soapbox, the acts on social media, everything. And I knew I couldn't go there. I was like, I'm not even going to say anything, but I'm going to just do what I feel is right in the real world. Make appearances, do videos, write in articles, and that's actually doing something. Right? I mean, that's real work. It's not just me going on Facebook and picking fights with everyone and calling everyone a Nazi or a racist. It's like they're trying to figure my life out. This is the funny thing is they don't know anything, but they act like they do. So they're going around being like, she's a Nazi, she's this. Her boyfriend is in England and he's a far-right extremist. His name's Milo Yiannopoulos. And it's the funniest thing because these people don't even know what they're talking about. They can't even fathom that some gay guy is a right-winger.
Yeah.
Some other examples are, the ridiculousness of their mentality. There was a conversation about my Twitter handle being Lady Alchemy 33, and they thought that I picked 33 because Hitler started his first concentration camp in 1933.
I was just going to ask what the most extreme thing they've ever done is.
Yeah, I think the most extreme is when I got a call from the FBI saying that there was an anonymous tip that my fiancé in England is a terrorist trying to come into the country. So they know who my fiancé is. He's also politically active, and they just wanted to find any single way. There was my work. There were personal relationships. There were photographers that I would work with. They would contact them directly. Any sort of thing that I posted on social media, if I had a job or gig or opportunity, they would contact them and send emails.
So what do you think the future is for all these groups? Do you think they're going to get worse, or do you think they're going to get better as they get exposed? What do you think is going to happen?
I think there's definitely a civil war in New York City happening with these two ideologies, but I truly think that they will become out of fashion. Like, they're just going to be so outdated. It's not even cool anymore. What are you talking about? These things don't make sense. And they're going to slowly get phased out. And the new right-wing art and the edgier stuff will become more popular. Hopefully. I think that's what I see.
Thanks for watching. If you like that and you want to see more, then click like and subscribe.